start recording. Bot channel.
Oh,
$play.
wait. Grab Craig.
This is why you're here, Fergus.
You know, invoke Craig's right.
Now recording.
I'll do it for you, Carol.
Hi, Craig.
Hi, Craig. Fuck. You did it for you. Last time on a set of glass wind chimes, everybody came to roll 20 because they need to be there. And then Eric turned the music down a little bit because it was too loud. But other than that, Cecil started going towards the stone pillar that he said he was going to climb with Rudolph. And they came upon a much more inhabited area of the Sylvan district, which is good. They all seemed very friendly and communally minded, and he ate some really good food. Definitely wasn't poisoned, as did Rudolph. I forget. Did you get? There was a lot of information there. Did you seek any out / get any?
Mm,
Relatively sure you just passed.
not about. Yeah, no, we just wandered
All right,
around.
great. I believe you got there by way of a Gurdonja gatherer who was
Yes.
ordinarily a hunter and kind of pissed about the current job that they were doing. And they were like, oh yeah, come here. And you went there, and now you're on your way to the tiered gardens, specifically the southwest leg of it.
Yes.
Amalia and the others, meanwhile, I believe you guys were... Did we do Gamer Dimension stuff last time?
Yeah.
We did. Okay,
A
so...
little bit, but not much.
So we... Right, yeah. We established that there's essentially a bunch of different cells of the dungeon in Eden. And you guys kind of need to go to each one correlating with a limb of the indestructible that is at the core of the machine, and find some timekeeper or entity similar to the timekeeper that serves the same purpose to, destroy each part. And then, assumedly, something happens. Also of note, Virgil ran into his old friend Razorface, who probed for some information on Amalia, which Virgil just narked right the fuck over. So we'll see how that affects things later. Virgil also noticed that there was some coloration change that was happening at the apex of the corkscrew scar on his forearm. It was slowly progressing down to the base of his wrist, almost as if it was a fuse. Then back in the real world, you guys, are you set up? Do you have shop set up around the wreckage of the ship, or did you go somewhere?
No, I'm pretty sure we set up around the wreckage.
Alright, so you set up around the wreckage of the ship. Right, and then we moved to Cecil because you left. Rabbit's sticking around you guys for the time being, but he has looked very pensive and indecisive on things. It looks like he's uncomfortable with how things have played out since reconvening with the wreckage of the Black Flight and learning of the fate of its inhabitants. What else? Was that
There
it?
was a bunch of stuff with and the ritual and the
A bunch of stuff with what in the ritual?
with Kavi.
Right, yes. And then back
There
in
was
the
all that
Creepy dancing.
mixing up
Uh-huh.
and tradition.
back in the tiered gardens, Catherine was brought into a room
Fun
where
spot.
she had her hair all pulled back and done in extravagant and foreign ways, and a lot of featured darkening makeup, very claustrophobically caked, just all over her features, and even like down her neck and onto her shoulders, just very, very thick, like kind of almost ritual makeup, like the kind you would see in like traditional Japan, but with different flavors to it, different colorations and other such schemes. She's been done up in it, honestly, in a way that probably you guys might not even recognize her until she starts talking. Then she was led into a room with a bunch of mannequins dangling from the ceiling and basically took part in an aerobics class, if aerobics was for eldritch dancing. And was that where we left off with her?
Basically.
Perfect. So, I guess this time we're going to establish some things with Amalia and what she's going to be doing and what her plans are coming up. We're going to see Cecil through to the plans that he's made his intentions clear on, and we will see, hopefully, what is going to become of Catherine and Roderick up in the tiered gardens. Who would we like to start with?
Well, it ended with me, so it should start with someone else.
No volunteers? I will roll.
Alright.
Alright, Cecil's 1, Catherine's 2, everyone else is 3. Catherine.
Okay.
So, Catherine, I will say that you have had... The makeup and the dancing. These two things took much longer than after the fact it seemed they took. As when you exit the room with all the mannequins, the sun itself seems to be cresting over towards the other edge of the horizon, opposite the one it rose in.
I'm just relieved it's rising at all.
It's approaching dusk, actually, and you can't help but feel a little hungry. That said, this is also one of the few times you don't have somebody ushering you around. You have a little bit of freedom here, and albeit the exit to that room is a little disorienting, as the hallway it deposits you into looks much the same as all of the other hallways that you've experienced here. It's just kind of flat face up against one wall, and then pillars on the other separate you from a very long fall down to the next tier below. Nobody's really fussing over you. You, in a weird way, feel...
Free.
Yes, but also like an imposter. Like someone that is being accepted in this area, probably because of the way your hair was pulled back and the fashion that the makeup that was put on you was done.
Alright, well, I try to make my way back to... Try to find my way back to Roderick's cell.
Alright, roll an intelligence check.
Okay. Intelligence... Oh, right. It's up here.
So, best you remember, it's probably been a couple hours, and you're honestly a little tired. Some of your muscles are sore from the more strenuous acts you had to go through with the dance. But you're pretty sure that you came here from the right. So you turn right down the hallway, and I will turn Yareth down for the moment. You turn right and progress down the hall until reaching kind of like this weird four-way juncture that you only vaguely remember. It continues in the direction that you were traveling, and then it turns, going into the interior of the tiered gardens, but it also has a staircase going out over the open air through the pillars that looks like it goes out a little bit of the ways, supported by different architectural constructs before twisting around on itself and going up.
All right.
So you're not quite sure among these directions which you should take, but you do feel like you're closer to Roderick than when you started.
Do I see any other people around?
You see a few. Many of them are much taller than you. They're kind of these weird, uncharacteristically lithe and nimble women who are... your best guess is their average height is like 6'5", 6'6". They're very tall, and if they're muscular or broad in any way, it's very well hidden in their garments. With these flowing, you know, just robes of white laced with gold and embroideries and dangling with little totems and trinkets. Some made of wood, some made of bone, some made of just carved beads or gemstones. And none of them seem to really even give you a passing glance. They're careful to like step out of your way if they need to. They're accommodative of your presence, but they never really look down at you.
Okay, so I go over to one of them and say, where do you get a bite to eat around here?
So the one you walk up to is one of the ones that isn't moving around, either forth or back in the hallways that you've been walking through. This one has been facing the interior wall, the one that is of sheer stone with occasional doorways leading into it. And it's examining very closely with its face and through its fingertips many of the carvings that are inlaid into the stone wall. And as you come closer, they look to their right, which is the direction you're in, and then slowly down at you, and they kind of tilt their head curiously. You want to find food?
Yeah, I've had a hungry day of working on projects and dancing with dummies and dancing with mannequins too.
Ah, the preparation for the mass.
Yeah. So I was wondering.
They turn away. Your best guess is it's probably a woman, but you're not sure. Like, the voice is feminine, but the features are indistinct, and everything here kind of looks like a woman, so you're not sure. But she turns away from the wall, and she looks out into the distance, over the vast canopy of the jungle, and the dwindling sunlight on the horizon. And then, almost in concern, she looks back at you and says, I think it's too late for food. You'll have to wait for midnight.
All right. Which way should I be while I'm waiting? I mean, which direction shall I be heading in at midnight?
Where will the food be served?
Yeah.
You call it.
Oh.
You get a curious glance from this individual, and they tilt their head the other way, and then a soft smile comes over their features, and they say, why don't you help me with something and stick around, and when the hour comes, I'll show you.
Okay, well, I was going to use whichever way the food court was to pick which direction to look for Roderick, but I guess why not?
She doesn't seem to have much recognition at the phrase food court.
No, I'm saying that's what I was thinking.
Gotcha, okay. Alright, so that was interior. So, at this, she turns back to the wall that she was studying. And she sort of beckons you closer. The portions that she's studying are a little high for you, but like on your tiptoes you can kind of see them with more clarity. They're very intricate and a little obtuse and hard to parse. Like, it kind of seems like a conglomeration of nothing, just random curves and shapes, but weird, vague, it's hard to parse any meaning from, in the way that you could probably parse meaning from hieroglyphs or sculptures that are of more obvious things like people, right? And she adopts the I guess she's been looking fairly curious this entire time, so she looks the same, but she looks down at you and says, sorry, they still aren't sure, I haven't actually ever seen this one before. And she takes her forefinger and thumb of both hands, and sort of frames around a specific part of the carvings. And almost with an unnatural light, they sort of begin to pulsate a soft, sort of sea green color. Do you recognize this
Ooh, it
animal?
matches the lichens. Very nice.
Do you recognize this creature?
Do I recognize this creature?
You
Let's
look at the
see, nature?
carving. You look at the carving. Roll investigation first.
Okay.
So at first, it looks like you're looking at a bunch of randomly jumbled shapes, almost like somebody with claws, just indiscriminately scratched in a bunch of directions across the stone. And it kind of means nothing to you until, weirdly enough, it starts to piece itself together. And after probably a good 2 or 3 minutes of just staring at it blankly with this other individual waiting at attention, you swear you can kind of parse this serpentine form. This six-legged serpentine beast with an open maw that is sort of twisting down and descending on some civilization that should be if to scale with the beast in question, the beast is so unfathomably huge that the scale is a little breathtaking in and of itself.
Is it Catherine or Megiddo?
So with the nature check, you do recognize that it's likely Megiddo, one of the dragons of legend that was felled almost 50 some decades ago.
Ah,
Not decades, 5 decades.
That's one of the ancient dragons.
They're what?
It looks to me like the pictures of the ancient world dragons that those heroes slew. I forget what their... Can't remember their names. Pretty sure there were a bunch of them.
So the attention that she had been waiting with is all of a sudden all called to the surface as she sort of regards you with this rapt attention, and she says, "Come with me. I think I have some materials that could possibly help you explain this." And she turns back the way you had come and begins walking.
Sure, why not?
And
I was all excited about the moss between the rocks, but then I recognized that it's a common moss that grows at home.
it wasn't
just
a,
was
it
a
wasn't
funny
a
shade.
moss. It was a magical light that she conjured to draw attention
No,
to
I'm
the
saying
area.
there was also some moss that caught my attention more than the carvings.
Okay. Do you want to get some? Like, it wouldn't take that long. You just have to slip a knife in and dig some out.
I mean, I could scrape off a bit, but it's a very common one that...
Great. Common moss. So you move back down the way that you would come with this individual who you still have yet to get the name of. And pretty much at the first opportunity, they turn you into the tiered gardens and down a set of stairs. Of ancient stairs where some of them are crumbling and other portions of this back and forth flight of stairs are entirely missing, and they'll jump and gently glide down and then turn around and help you kind of come down with them. This place in some areas seems like it's in ruins and is dilapidated with no real effort to restoration. But soon enough, you come into one of the interior chambers, and this interior chamber has a ceiling, and the ceiling goes all the way up to the sky, where a paltry amount of the dusk lighting comes in and is sort of melancholically lighting one side, and it is full of just bookcases chiseled into the stone, where aged tomes rest, some with titles, some without, on their spines, some leaning against each other, some completely solitary on their own shelf, some lying half open on a nearby table. And she walks directly over to one of these bookcases, takes a scroll out, and then opens it and puts it on the table. And Roll history.
All right. History.
Um, it's some kind of city. It looks like it doesn't really look like anything that strikes you as familiar, but it's essentially a charcoal drawing of a very large city that is immersed in these giant pillars rising out of the desert.
Well,
This place is called Tharanrai, and I'm sorry, but you said that that creature was a dragon?
yeah. I mean, you know, those legends you hear growing up about how there were these two dragons that were gonna, you know, kill some people or destroy the world or something. It's always the world being destroyed in these stories, isn't it? Yeah, I think it was destroy the world.
You
Anyway,
you fail to find any glint of recognition in this person's eyes. They seem completely oblivious to what you're talking about.
there was some band of heroes or other who killed the dragons, and this was very impressive, I guess. And yeah, stuff.
She blinks and looks down at the scroll and then back at you and kind of gestures it closer and says, "Do you know what this is?"
It
You notice that
is
she's pointing to a specific part. It's a very small part, and it's actually in front. It's sort of in the foreground of this big charcoal drawing of a city nestled in some stone pillars in the desert. And it's a tiny little person shape with its arms just thrown above its head in kind of like a mad sorcerer gesture facing towards the city. It's garbed in this black, best you can tell, it's a charcoal drawing. And the figure, despite its tiny size in relation to everything else, looks like it's meant to either be important or is meant to be depicted as trying to be important. She then looks at you and explains, "This is the only thing I've ever referred to as a dragon."
I don't. I mean, does the guy look like a dragonborn?
It looks like a little black humanoid smudge.
It's a bit tiny. I get a magnifying glass out of my jeweler's tools.
She sits down and sort of lets you peruse over the scroll, and she just starts talking. How much are you paying attention?
About halfway.
So she brings some things up regarding alleged feats of this particular smudge on a scroll. It's referred to apparently as the Keeper of Dragons, and it's related somehow to the Eleusian family, which the Fire family is in a gridlock of power control with, and any information on the Keeper of Dragons could give knowledge into the Eleusians' secrets and provide the Fire family the upper hand. And if that little carving on the side of the tiered gardens could help in some way, it's pretty clear that this person is kind of going a mile with an inch of rope. And you have an opportunity here. You could either take this opportunity to mislead this person, and possibly the Fire family as a whole, if this person is high up in the family, which they could be. They could just be a scholar. Or you could do some digging of your own, figure out why this seemingly ancient place has carvings of such on their walls, and not particularly grandiose carvings. Like it's sort of a little thing like that. that carving that you looked at was barely a foot from, you know, a cubic foot or a square foot, I guess.
And the magnifying glass probably doesn't show me anything because it's smudged.
Yeah, the magnifying glass, you're just looking at charcoal. However, you do find your curiosity piqued. If that's the sort of thing that's insignificant, you want to find the sculptures and carvings on this place that really stand out, that have a lot of emphasis drawn to them, like the big murals. You want to find the big statues. You wonder what those could be.
I might have a better idea if I compared this to some of the main statues and murals around here.
Her shoulders rise in excitement and her mouth opens as if to immediately go to verbally grant your request, and then her shoulders drop and she furrows her brow and says, I don't think I can bring you into the annals.
Could you bring me a rubbing from the annals?
A curious hand approaches her chin as she considers this. Roll persuasion.
All right. 0 in persuasion. All up to the dice. Thank you, dice.
Did you roll?
Yeah, I got a 20.
Oh,
We
natural?
might have to
Effort.
refresh.
Yeah, everyone just got chucked at roll 20.
Oh, yeah, you did. You got the crit. A smile reaches her
Flat
lips,
nat 20. You'll love to
and
see
she
it.
says, "Yes, I can get you a rubbing." And
Thank you, my friend. Sorry, what did you say your name was? I missed it the first time.
I am Thessel.
Bessie? Okay. There, Thessel. Yes. Thank you, Thessel.
And she.
I'll study this a bit more while you're out.
Oh,
See,
you want to stay? Actually, it could do you some good to remain here in one of the libraries. Peruse it at your leisure, of course. I promise I will return anon. And she sort of gets up, straightens her garments, and gives you sort of an affectionate little pat on the top of your head. Little curt compliment on whoever did your hair, and then she turns and makes haste out of the room.
all right. Well, I'm going to do an investigation check to see if there's, when she's out of the room, to see if there's anything else interesting that I might, be able to look into while she's not here.
No problem. We will resolve this and then move to one of the other parties.
Okay.
Go ahead and roll. Ooh, 16. Yeah, not only do you find particularly ancient book on botany written in a language that is only barely understandable. It has a lot of arcanistry that is implemented into some of the botanical works, things that you're not familiar with, but after like getting a grasp using the visual diagrams that it gives on the effects that said arcanistry would have, you kind of really want to figure out a way to implement them. And the book's kind of small. You feel like you could kind of hide it on your person, and there's a decent chance that if you rearranged the shelf it came off of, nobody would really notice it's missing.
Yes.
But
I have tons of pockets in my I have tons of pockets in my clothing, and a lot of them are full of things, so it won't look at all any more suspicious to have one more bulge on me.
that is not all. you also find a lever. Do you want to pull it?
Heck yeah!
Roll a strength check.
Yay! Damn.
Oh my gosh. So this lever is remarkably more modern, or at least it's refurbished in comparison with the rest of this entire place, which is a little derelict, and it has this this sort of skull carving at the end of it, with two unevenly sized antlers coming out of it, with 3 different eye sockets parallel to one another running down its center in columns. And you pull the lever back, and it seems like it's not going to give until it just starts to. The rest of the pull is going to be a lot easier, but whatever it does hasn't happened yet. So if you want to wait until they get back and then do this later, you can, or if you want to do this now, you can. But you can make that decision when we come back to you. In the meantime, Cecil or Amalia's group, who are we doing next? Hello.
Roll again.
All right. Cecil is a 1, and Amalia's group is a 2. Amalia's group.
Very well.
Alright, let me bring up my list.
Oh, I've got your list. So
That sounded mildly threatening.
you are well. I copied pasted it and put it in my notes. So Amalia, you have just been run off. Not run off. Cecil and Rudolph have just absconded from the rest of you, and you're all sort of sitting in this kind of semi-silent, broken circle with the wreckage of the Black Flight right behind you. And if there's stuff to be salvaged from that ship, it's probably best if you look soon.
Alright. Let's conduct a preliminary investigation then, to see what we can work with regards to the ship.
So, as you get up to go and investigate, Rabbit is quick to stand and walk to accompany you. Hello, Malia, was it? He's a fair bit shorter than you, actually, and also smaller and somewhat childlike, but there's a weird agedness to his face. He's just kind of a small person.
Yeah, that's my name, Amelia.
He looks towards the ship and says, I believe, I notified you all of the, well, ill tidings that the company of this ship would possibly have with the Fire family. I was thinking while we look for whatever it is you want to look for, I could expound upon that a little bit.
Yeah, sure, go ahead. I'll just, let's see what I can salvage from this first.
Well, suppose another pair of eyes couldn't hurt, right? And go ahead and roll investigation with advantage.
It's going to be a 5 and a 6. Or that.
29. So you kind of the way the ship is sort of upheaved onto this displaced massive tree trunk with a little bit of a crater around where it impacted the ground, and broken roots and shattered shrubs just pushed out of the way and thrown from the impact site. You recognize that most of the scavengeable stuff is not going to be the like the bulkhead and the hull and where much of the just wood was, but it's going to be on the interior where the more complicated mechanisms are going to be, and the heart of the creature that had replaced the engine of the Black Flight, and whatever technological systems had been put in place to allow the steering mechanism to influence the rest of it. So you know basically exactly where to go get that stuff, and you tell Rabbit to go look for some of the other people's stuff and just sort through and see what interesting things that he can find, and you know, he's willing to do so, and he always makes sure he's doing so in within a place that would be an earshot of you. And as he does, he explains a tenuous relationship between particularly Guido and Isalia and the Fire family, because Isalia is a deserter. Not only is she a deserter, she was one of the founders. So something would have caused her and the rest of the Fire family to have a particularly intense disagreement to the point where all of them turned on her.
Clearly it was the dress code.
That's very possible. Guido, on the other hand, you knew that he had sort of done the same thing. He kind of metaphorically and literally jumped off the Bastio district on high and renounced his bloodline, maybe? You're not quite sure the whole story around the Arium yet, but it definitely seems that both of them are very steeped in the foundation of this city. And they're steeped in it in a way that puts them at odds with the powers that exist. The Fire family getting their hands on Isalia is probably incredibly bad for her, or bad in general, depending on the Fire's potential relationship with the Tenebrae, but there's been no evidence of that yet. Guido being gone kind of prevents you from salvaging from the ship in the way that you'd want to. Like, as you're sort of dissecting and pulling apart the pieces of the heart that you can't help but feel that it's being done in a less than optimal way. Like, you might be cutting a little too much of the fat off, per se. And the steering mechanism, you're kind of forced to just find the off switch and uproot the whole thing, which hopefully doesn't damage the systems. You've kind of got your fingers crossed. And they're both kind of big, too, and heavy. Like, the control systems in particular is just a bunch of, like, it's a network of brass and metal and gold, particularly gold that conducts a lot of magic. You're not really sure how to really lug them around, but you do get them out of the ship. You get the control systems, so I'm going to mark this down. You guys put it somewhere. Black Flight. Control systems. Good condition. You get the Iraq the Heart. Good condition. Comma. Decaying. And with 29, I will say you figure out how to how the cross between a blimp and an airship levitation system worked, and you can sort of order out the construction of a duplicate. So I'm going to put schematics for altitude control. You get those three things.
Great. Okay.
So afterwards, you've pulled all of that out with Rabbit's help. He helps you move it out to the sort of communal clearing everybody else is at. And Virgil, you can't help but notice that there's a big stinking organ with some splotches of mud and shrubbery poking into it. It's a very tough organ. Like nothing's pierced inside and it's not bleeding because the wounds that were inflicted to pull it out of the Arakva in the first place were cauterized afterwards. But it could do with some preserving.
That sounds almost like dollar sign. Time to get to work.
So how are you gonna set about preserving this? It's probably about as big as like the Arakva heart itself is about as big as a dinner table.
A brief glance towards his little bag.
Roll medicine to
Think
see.
it's big enough.
Roll medicine to see how long you think you've got to work out a solution to this before it quote unquote expires.
All right. Core medicine.
So you probably have about 3 days if you keep it cold.
What's the temperature like in this climate usually?
It's pretty humid and hot. No, it's already pretty cold actually. I forgot. It's approaching winter. It's humid, but it's cold. You don't get much of a breeze down here because of all the trees, but there's sort of a cold that's set into things. You probably need to get it to a steady 20 degrees lower Fahrenheit.
She, or perhaps even ask that. No, carnivore. She'd eat it. Be a total waste.
Do you want to make any rolls, Albus, to see if you can help?
What is that wind blowing sound? There we go. That's better.
Okay. Albus, roll with some tinkering tools. Your choice. Or if you need me to, tell me which ones. You have smiths, tinkers, alchemists, and thieves. So with an 11, you can come up with something rudimentary. 3 days, honestly, isn't that long to sustain a 10 to 20 degree drop in Fahrenheit, at least steadily. You would need the easiest thing to essentially deposit the heat energy around the heart into. The most efficient thing would be a large body of water. So if you can find a large body of water, you can whip something up with your gauntlets and the shield you project that usually gives temp health. That said, you'd have to leave all of it around the heart for the 3 days, meaning you wouldn't have your mobile gauntlets, or I guess your cannon. Three days is a while. That said, if you can, if you have 3 days to come up with a more permanent solution, Wait a minute. Actually, Albus, a thought springs to mind. Catherine was looking to invent a greenhouse. You could probably do the same thing in reverse fairly easily. And to do that, basically you would just need some reflective surfaces, the body of water, and building material, metal or wood. and then you could probably whip something up in a long rest. Alright, so, first thing to do, gotta find a body of water. There's caves around, just kind of perforating the ground. Maybe there's some underground reservoir. There would kind of have to be. What is that background noise coming from? Ah, it's coming from Yaroth. I'm gonna turn you down to 100 while you're typing. So, who wants to go on the expedition to find an underground reservoir? Actually, I guess you can. Do you want to bring this up? Are you bringing this up to the party, Albus? You don't have to do so in character since you're typing right now, but just to make them aware. What were you gonna say, Stuart?
Just before we do, I'm gonna cast Sending to Silverblood.
Ooh, okay. What do you say? One, two, three, four, five. So for listeners, Amalia cast Sending, says, will cast Sending when I can. Current status, working on rescue plan. Sounds like you have history. Anything useful about gardens? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And her response. Going to die. Frederick escaped. Don't know what he's doing. Zavoim should be trusted. Went into caves. Tiered Gardens, Death Trap. Tenebrae here.
But I never lost my good spirits. Okay. So Malia is going to turn to the rest of the party and she's going to say, well, it's not the good news I expected, but so I just contacted Silverblood and she is saying that the gardens are a death trap. Don't have
A
many
death trap.
don't have many specifics on that because there's a limit to how many words you can put in the sending spell.
I'll say you're going over this after Albus makes it clear that he needs to find some kind of body of water down beneath the surface.
Oh, he's to find the body of water. Okay, that's fine. I will just tear open the veil between worlds and
No.
Rabbit just kind of looks around, slightly confused, but also a little grimly expecting of this sort of revelation, and he just kind of utters a sigh and says, "This is why I wish he hadn't gone off on his own with Rudolph." Referring to Cecil, of course.
I can't exactly say I'm surprised, but
Either way, if we're going
he's
to...
a grown man to live. What we need right now, any kind of information about the gardens.
other than the
And-
fact that it's a death trap.
Are you going to contact
And
him?
well, with what? I've already used both my 3rd level spell slots.
What's a spell slot?
Fine. Yeah, sure. Let's get contact with him.
I mean Cecil. I have some information on the gardens that you could probably use, and it might be more than Silverblood.
Are you saying that in character, by the way, or are you saying that I can just send sending as many times as I want?
Wait, what? That was Centra talking.
Like, okay. What's your real here? Can I just keep casting sending, or
No, we cost spell slots.
like? So I don't have the energy to. Well, the requisite kind of energy to cast another spell like that today.
Well, at least I'll give you the information for later then. And he looks around for something to write on and starts detailing some stuff out. Hopefully he elects not to climb in the night.
If I
Uh,
had to
alright.
hazard a guess,
All right.
he'll
So
climb in the
what
night
if we
to claim something about stealth cover?
what if we pretend that he's absolutely going to do it?
If we pretend that he's absolutely going to do that, then he won't get this information in time for it to help. And, well, I already don't give him much chance of success. But I also didn't give him much chance of success when I tried to kill him, so there's that. Didn't give you guys much chance of success when you all tried to beat me in the sandpit. There's that as well. He looks at the ship. Somehow you managed to supplant the entire control systems of an incredibly advanced airship in good condition. Apparently you managed to supplant a heart in place of an engine at some time in the past. I am open to being surprised, but I am not hopeful. Call it realism, I guess.
Well, hope's a luxury in our business, and it's our job to supply it.
He nods. Alright, so what else did you get from her? The gardens are a death trap, things aren't as they seem. What exactly did she mean by that?
It's She mentioned something about one of them going into the caves. Do you have any idea what that means?
Well, there's caves all over the place, so likely it was an attempt to hide from the attack that they were suffering.
Alright. So Zavalim is an old Scarring demon. So I'm hopeful that we should be able to track him, and the only reason they didn't find him was because of a lack of interest.
Centra taps the side of his nose and smiles and says, "They don't call me Hunter for a reason. Scardian Demon's all I need to know. You want me to go do that now? See if I can track him down?"
Yeah, he'll be useful.
Then Rabbit looks to you, Albus, and says, "While I'm down there, you lot can keep discussing things up here or explore some different caves. I will keep an eye out for your body of water." And he nods and smiles to you, and then takes off through the shrubbery.
Just as a heads up, my thing seems to be connecting to reconnect random, so
You're coming through really clearly. I'm not complaining.
yeah, I'm coming through really clearly because I have my phone up to my ear. But it seems to be disconnecting and reconnecting at random for no particular reason, so letting you know.
Well, let's hope that it doesn't shit the bed. I suppose, do you guys have anything in particular you want to discuss or start doing? Like, actual players? Virgil, do you want to start doing anything, or am I moving to Cecil?
It's a very good question. How exactly am I supposed to start the study on this suggestive serum? Other than just, like, intelligizing about
you
it.
would take out your medicine kit and sit with it over a rest, or you could go look for some local wildlife, kill it, and examine their bodies. The latter would probably be faster. So you might want to go hunting.
Guess I'm going hunting.
Taking anybody with you? You want to bring this up in character?
Well, with that settled, if we're going to game the system, as it were, I need organs. A lot of them, from a lot of different creatures, specifically around here. Any takers and anyone wants to come with me, better improve my chances.
Are you absolutely sure you can take the wildlife around here without it kicking your...
I'm hardy enough. But that's why I asked for help, yes.
Stuart?
Sorry, it cut out again.
Oh,
But,
oof. He said, yeah, that's why he's asking for help.
well, Molly is going to find Zavali, so...
You going with Rabbit then?
Eh?
Are you going with Rabbit then? Because he already took off. Great. He's rolling with advantage then.
So
Oh,
you would have
good,
to go...
good.
So you and Albus would have to be going hunting.
Wow. Thank you for that advantage. Because that would have been
Embarrassing.
That would have been pretty
Very embarrassing.
unfortunate for Mr. Bunny.
Victor looks at Albus.
Roll.
How are you at hunting?
Roll survival, I guess.
Good. Let's roll. Let's roll one of the things. Yes, let's roll this this 0 in survival.
I have a 1 in survival, so I feel you.
Oh, are you talking about me rolling, or are you talking
Whoever's going to try to kill something, roll survival.
about... Not me then.
Albus, is yours better?
Nice.
It's a 2 instead of a 1.
So, Albus, you and Virgil are creeping through the underbrush for probably about 45 minutes, moving to and fro, pretending that you belong here when you don't feel like you do. At one point, probably 20 minutes in, just a massive snake is like 3 inches from one of your arms, but you don't see its head, you just see a portion of its body that's coiled around a tree. The two of you make eye contact, and you slowly move really far in the other direction. At the end of the 45 minutes, you guys find yourself upon you've climbed a fair ways up an Acalia, one that's probably a good 2 or 3 miles away from the clearing itself that you had just left. And there's sort of this blanket miniature canopy that's hoisted up on like three different branches, like it was put together as a nest. And curled up in that nest is... I shall consult my bestiary. My bestiary. Where is it? Where are you, bestiary? You see a large, sort of muscular, long-limbed primate. It has a pretty large spiral horn protruding from its forehead, but you mostly just see the underside of its jaw as it's precariously dangling a portion of its torso out of the edge of the nest, just snoring lazily. It's probably about 8 feet tall standing up.
Break its legs.
But you got the jump on it. And we're going to cut to Cecil.
Oh, I wanted to see the monkey fight, but alright. So, where
Monkey's
are we?
his uncle?
All right, Cecil, you and Rudolph made your way out of the more.
What time is it, like dusk?
Not quite. It's probably you ate at around 1-ish, and then started on your way, and now it's,
Wait, I'm confused.
it was dusk for Catherine.
Yeah.
This is happening in little episodes.
Oh, okay. Alright, I see.
You have been traveling with Rudolph, and all at once you see just the massive base of a pillar. It's visible even through the din of the jungle. It's probably about a half mile ahead of you, and you see it because you're on a ridge overlooking an expanse of jungle, and it's just rising out like a mammoth's leg.
Alright.
The giant limb of a stone golem, and up on top of it is just this immense obscuring presence in the tiered gardens, dangling with just massive collections of vines and greenery. And it's a big old pillar.
Yup. So Cecil looks down at Rudolph and the
Rudolph looks a little miserable. His eyes are squinting. He's got some twigs stuck in his hair, but he's trudging on.
Cecil's just like looks over and is like, do you want to like set up camp here, or maybe get to work on that hang glider that we were talking about? We could probably finish that up and then, I don't know, fashion some sort of leaf bed.
He raises a hand up to his chin, thinks on that a moment, and he says, I think I dislike the idea of sleeping here, even more than I dislike the idea of keeping this up. So, he takes out a little telescopic apparatus and peers through it at the stone pillar, and then takes it off and says, there's a whole bunch of cavities in there that I think we could use as much safer camping sites.
Okay, genius.
That said, for the hang glider, he sort of looks down at the ledge that you guys are standing at. It would probably be a lot faster if I were to make something like that to get us to the base of this, or even to get us a little bit of a head start up, if you're confident in your ability to not have us smashed into into paste.
Well, that I most certainly am. Well, if you can, get to work on that, that'd be great. We need an escape plan.
He takes a deep inhale, and then I'm gonna need some kind of canvassing.
Canvassing.
Yeah.
All right.
Like leather, probably.
Leather. Okay. Would my coat work?
I think it would work for
No.
one of us.
Yeah, it's far too small. I see. Well, here's what I can do. I could
Roll
go up
perception.
now. Huh? Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Perception. Where is perception? Perception. 12.
So the 12. Yeah, you're sort of beholden to your own ideas. Nothing strikes you in a moment of epiphany.
I'm gonna exert that.
Go ahead. 20.
20.
On your way over, you happened to pass some greenery with particularly large, particularly sturdy, and rich and healthy leaves that are very wind resistant. And in a moment of big think, you just decided to pull some off and take them with you, and you've been dragging them behind you ever since.
Yeah, it's like what these do. He just like steps out, and then out from his silhouette, just like a bunch of these beautiful large leaves, the size of 18 ships. No, but really though,
Yeah, he looks at them and his eyes widen. He's like, "Oh, actually, those would probably do great. Let me just
excellent.
take this one and test it a bit." And he takes one from you and just like swings it with all his might, broadside into the wind, and it takes him quite a bit of effort. And he just smiles and he's like, "Yeah, give me like an hour."
Okay. In that time, I'll scout out some of the divots in the rock. I'll find one.
Great. So you book it down there yourself. And it's sheer rock.
Okay.
And
But sheer, is it just a literal,
It is definitely not flat. This thing is a little insane. It is the sheer volume of stone in front of you with the incredible amount of detail and intricacy carved into its every inch kind of blows your mind. You
Yeah,
can't even-
Cecil kind of taking a pause after he said that to just look at it, run his hand on it. But not after long, and with some notes taken. Is it climbable?
Oh yeah, it's
All right, good.
So it's climbable, but from a distance you can see that there are these large strips that go around it of what could be unmarked stone. It doesn't look like it shared the same finery and detail of the carvings from a distance, but there could still be potential handholds. You haven't seen it up close. You've only seen it from miles away.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So Cecil unhooks Death in the West, starts to use it as climbing gear because it's pretty good like that. And
So
what do I roll
the
to-
first leg of the journey is actually pretty easy. You just use one of the trees to get up to the canopy, and then from there jump off onto the pillar. And you're only about probably 40 or 50 feet down from one possible potential campsite, but that's still 40 to 50 feet of
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
pretty difficult climbing. I'm gonna say roll. It's hard to really acrobatics any momentum around here. This is probably going to be a straight athletics check.
Question. So is it just rock climbing TM?
Basically.
And where am I? Am I holding on to a bunch of rocks, or is there a flat spot? that I'm
You're on a
standing?
little ledge that you got to from the canopy, and it looks like there's little Shadow of the Colossus checkpoints.
Okay. Well, what I was thinking of as far as it goes for acrobatics is that, well, I mean, would it be impossible to say that maybe not a running start, but a kick up and then swing Death in the West onto one of them and then like
Yeah, no, like that's definitely something you were probably thinking of, but given like the height difference you're currently looking at, it's kind of impossible. You would need to at least climb 10 to 20 feet before attempting something like that.
all right, athletics is -1. Let's go. 14.
Not bad. So you kind of try to mentally plot a way up the rock straight to the first little pseudo cavern that's punched into this pillar, and you can't find a straight shot there, but you do find a little bit of a roundabout way that it would be easy to jump from, and then just like slam Death in the West like a grappling hook, hit yourself against the pillar, and then climb the shaft. And that's what you do. And you're kind of like pulling yourself up. Your arms are burning with the exertion
Yeah,
because
it's
you're not
not
used
easy.
to doing this in this way. But you're sitting in like this little cavity that's probably about the height, probably like 4 feet high up to the ceiling, and then the ceiling kind of inclines down, so it's like a triangle, and it would be a tight fit for the both of you, but you could sleep here. One of you might roll out and die.
All right. So speaking of, okay, to avoid that, are there other cavities that are at least a little bit close?
There's some more, but they look to be beyond the first lowest strip of nothing. However, from your current vantage point, you can't really see if it's climbable. You'd have to get like right up under it, and it's probably another 40-45 feet.
Okay.
It's also 40-45
so-
feet, like without something to then jump and latch Death in the West too, so it'd be harder to climb.
Okay. All right, I see. Okay. And getting down from here, I could argue would be some amount of acrobatics too, right?
Getting down is definitely going to be much more acrobatic.
Yeah. Okay. So
Because you
noting,
can let gravity do the work.
yeah, exactly. So noting that bit, I could theoretically, like Rudolph could technically, like Rudolph could climb that, right?
Rudolph is it's kind of like me and you, IRL. You would probably, what you'd be doing is doing the climbing while tethering the places with rope to make it much easier for him.
All right. Problem is, I don't have rope,
Oof.
but what I do have is gumption. So, I'm going to attempt to climb back down.
Yeah, so it's pretty self-explanatory. You
Yeah.
you kind of let gravity do the work for you, kick off, and then slide down a branch, and all of a sudden,
nothing, no biggie.
Yeah.
So makes it down. Sees Rudolph working on the thing.
Is this the kind of jungle that would have vines?
Yeah, it definitely has vines. However,
I don't trust them.
yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen vines IRL. They're
kind of shitty.
they're much shittier than rope. That said, Rudolph
However-
has finished his
But they're
hang
less
glider.
shady than nothing.
He's finished his hang glider, and we're gonna see how good it is. High, good, or bad.
The high is good. I
Yeah.
would like to exert that roll. No, I'm joking.
Not only is it a serviceable hang glider, it actually collapses.
Hey.
Not too much, but it collapses into like a staff, kind of like Aang
That
style.
gets that gets an applause from Cecil as he looks over to Rudolph and is like, bit of a question. Can I look in your bag for a moment? I'm just looking for something. It's not important.
He's gonna roll insight. What are your intentions here?
Please have rope.
He just kind of takes his backpack off and sighs as he hands it to you. It's a bunch of nerd shit. He doesn't have any rope.
Rudolph.
Yeah, I know what you're looking for. He kind of holds up the hang glider and gestures to all the rope he used to tie the joints.
Well, there are alternatives. I guess you wouldn't be particularly happy sleeping here. So, well, we could
Listen,
uh
Cecil. I didn't come so you could be a babysitter. I came because I think I can help.
and I think you can too. It's just that the issue is that if you don't want to sleep here, then we're gonna have to find a new way to get up there.
He shakes his head and he says, he hands you the hang glider and he says, how about I will give you the place to fly to when you're done up there.
Sure. Yeah, right. How are we going to send those back and forth, though?
He holds
What exactly do you?
He holds up his hands and he says, I remember the way back to the plate, the place we got soup.
Yeah.
It's not that far. It is. But he's not saying so. And I noticed that they were using some kind of avian reptile to send messages.
Great.
I'll be able to get them to help me.
Or, alternatively, not saying you're wrong, and that would be good, if that doesn't work out, you could always use the old-fashioned smoke signal.
He nods. I could.
Alright, if that's the case, I'll...
And he digs around in his pack into pockets that you knew couldn't accommodate ropes. You were polite enough not to go through. And he takes out a little metal contraption. It looks like a disc that is inside another disc, and it's capable of spinning. It doesn't look
Okay.
like much else than that.
What is this?
So as he's handing it to you, he pulls it back to himself to demonstrate, and he spins the ring on the interior, and then he holds it up and slowly lets go of it, and as he does, it maintains its place in space, seemingly unaffected by gravity.
Cecil looks like Rudolph had just invented God in front of him.
As
Like he is confused.
As the ring on the interior slowly slows down, it starts to lower in altitude, and then by the time it's sort of like inconsistently spinning, it falls to the ground, and he picks it up. And then he holds it up and he says, it doesn't just float. And he spins it again, places it in the air, out over just in a distance in like a little clearing, so it's probably about 7 feet off the ground. He jumps to get it as high as possible. It maintains its position in the air. He like runs 10 feet back, runs at it, and then jumps and clasps his hands over it, and he's hanging on it in the air, and it's supporting the entirety of his weight.
What?
And then he falls with it as it slows down, and he moves towards you, hands it to you, and says, emergency, you're gonna be high up.
Yes, I certainly will be. That's thank you.
That's
That's useful.
an altitude controller, and my dad invented them.
Wow. Tell him thank you if I make it out of this alive.
You say that, and then you get a little bit of Calliope memory, and you remember that his dad is dead, and he's trying to follow in his footsteps.
Oh! Okay, then, very quickly omits, half of that, but it was obvious as to what he was about to say.
He gets the message, and it looks like he's made peace with the death, so he just kind of smiles and waves his hand. It's alright.
So if that's the case, then I'll be on my way. I'll try and see if I can't find the rest of the crew. I can't bring everyone, so I'll prioritize people who might die.
Yep, so you get quality hang glider, and you get altitude controller.
Yes.
Put those in your inventory.
I am. Climb time.
So, as you move back down, all of this has taken you to probably about 6-ish p.m. and the sun is slowly cresting towards the horizon. You're in a canyon, so the sunset is abnormally soon.
Ah.
So basically it's the dusk that it was when we were doing Catherine's stuff.
Would this be lined up to the timeline, or
Yeah, this is up to date.
Okay.
You are going to begin climbing right as Catherine gets to the library, we'll say.
Okay, sweet. And climbing, he begins.
All right, so you make your way
Um,
back up to the first ledge, and I'm not going to make you repeat the athletics check. You get up to the first little cranny, and
Yes.
roll perception.
Okay.
Also, are you being stealthy?
I would say yes, but first things first, I need to re-roll that perception.
Go ahead.
20.
Are you being stealthy?
Yes.
Roll stealth.
Roll stealth. I'm gonna exert that.
Go ahead. So you've now lost.
There we go.
You've now lost what? 19 health.
Oh. Yeah, but I'm not gonna get hit, so it doesn't matter.
Great. And with a 27 in stealth, you are crawling up this pillar like a spider. With a 20 in perception, you smell something.
Oh.
You smell something that you don't smell often. You smell the scent of oil on gears. You smell technology, and it is very out
Ooh.
of place, and it's very faint.
Okay. Are we just under the like is there a is it directional or is it just in general?
You only get this little glimpse of scent when the wind sort of rushes past you from the left, and the wind it's probably wind that's being dispersed off of the pillar, seeing as how it's not being blocked, so it
Yeah.
could be in a hemispherical direction in regards to where you are.
Yeah, yeah.
So you have like a 180 berth. 180 degree berth.
Yes. So, that in mind, Cecil is scuttling up the pillar, and begins to, while still moving up, still moves a little bit to the left to see if there's an increase in that specific smell. Because that's very unusual.
All right, so roll athletics because you're climbing higher.
Right, of course. Wish me luck. That's not gonna get it, is it, Eric?
Probably not.
I should probably exert that, shouldn't I, Eric?
Maybe.
I'm not gonna risk falling to my death this early, Eric.
Does anybody else want to give him a reroll?
I would take anyone's reroll, honestly.
He's got a 12 so far.
It's a 12. Everyone's dead silent.
Wait, have you used yours already?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, I had to. Because I got a 7 on perception.
Ah, yes, I see. Yeah, take mine.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So do I keep my exertion?
You can if you want.
Okay, let's see what
Because
happens.
low
then.
exertion and high exertion both have different advantages.
It's true. 15 seems fine. Seems completely decent.
All right, so you're going with the 15?
15 should be okay.
Yeah. You make it up to the base of the first strip in the pillar, and you realize that the strip is sheer stone. Very difficult to get up. However, in progressing left, you have reached the far corner of the pillar, and you kind of like perch yourself on it with the wind sort of blowing past you and you know, messing all your hair up and gusting your cloak out behind you. You're just sprawled against this thing, hinged on the corner, and you see one of the other pillars holding this thing's bulk up in the far distance, and there is a shadow creature clinging to it, and you can just make out in the dwindling light of day something that shadow creature, that this salamander-like entity, is carrying on its back. It's sitting on one of its shoulders, and it's holding something, and it's aimed at you.
Oh, yes.
What's your
all right.
dexterity?
Just flat?
Yep.
18.
You have the reflexes to just duck back behind the side you were climbing.
Okay. Do I make a roll for that, or do
Nope.
I just do it?
Do you want? I'm asking you. Do you want to?
All right. So salamander holding a thing pointed at me.
Salamander holding a humanoid, holding a thing pointed at you.
How big? Salamander.
Big enough for you to see it on another pillar miles away.
Miles away.
Yeah, there's like 4 pillars total holding up the tiered gardens, and the tiered gardens are huge.
All right. So we got a sniper. Gotcha. Yeah, duck. Or yeah. Just lean back. Like,
All right,
into the,
so you lean back and a massive chunk of stone is impacted and then blown to smithereens 3 feet above where you were. In the strip of sheer stone, and the shrapnel has given you handholds to climb up with.
Hey, good. So, I have an idea. Cecil, with the rubble made, takes his hat and cloak off and begins to stack stones on it. Begins to stack stones rapidly, and then puts the cloak on it as well as the hat, slightly out of cover, before immediately kicking back up and beginning to climb.
Okay.
So so it's like you can see it's the scarecrow effect.
Yeah.
just
Are you abandoning the cloak?
Yes.
Okay. So, are you letting it drop, or is it just sticking out from behind cover?
It's just slightly sticking out from behind cover, so it looks like there's an attempt to hide.
All right. Is high good or bad?
High's good.
So
High's not good.
another and another chunk of the stone composing the pillar you're grasping to is blown apart. But it's not in a location you can utilize to climb higher, basically.
Okay.
And I'm gonna change the music real fast.
Yeah. Is there a threshold I would be able to pass if I were to like how high up is more climbable stone?
The chunk that it just blew out of gives you a big ledge to grapple onto, and then it's actually a big enough cavity, like just blown into the corner of this pillar. You can probably just... it's big enough you could stand in, and then just get your bearings, rest up a bit, because your arms are sort of burning from exertion.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Would it be an easier time if I used the altitude controller to step on and then just jump into it instead of, having
Oh no, there's no risk for you getting up there. It's like
Oh, there
2
isn't?
feet above you. You would grab the bottom
Oh,
of it and pull yourself
sorry.
up.
I misunderstood. Yeah, sure, do that. Yes. Begins to climb up,
Great.
skedaddles.
So you do that, and I
Yes.
will cue this, and we will go back to Amalia and Rabbit, who have found a cave.
What type of rest does this count as?
This can be as much of a rest as you want. Unless that thing does several miles trek and then gets to an altitude where it can see you on this side of the pillar, it can't shoot at you
Yeah.
until you look around the
Alright.
corner.
Let's just say short then.
Sure, so you'd rest for an hour.
How is that? Okay, no, my bad. Go on.
No. So for a short rest, you can spend as many hit dice as you want, roll them, and then restore your health by the total. But you expend them that way. When you use hit dice to exert yourself, they aren't expended.
Oh, they aren't expended.
No. You can functionally exert yourself until you're out of health, and then you can't.
Okay, sweet. Okay.
Hit dice expenditure is just for
Noted.
healing on short rests. Nice. So, Amalia, did you already roll survival? No, he did. Right. So you guys sort of go down into these very, very claustrophobic caves. Amalia's not claustrophobic, is she? She's not.
No.
Great. So, there's a couple portions where
Pork's in the ship.
there's a couple portions where Sentra has to squeeze through a crack between 2 massive chunks of earth that he can barely get through, and then he takes out his water skin and slickens it down so you have an easier time than he did. There's this constant sort of this echoing, dripping sound. It's always just just far off enough that it seems to be coming from the distance. And soon enough, you guys find a little trickle of a stream. And he looks at you, and then you guys start to follow it. And you get to a very large, completely black underground cavern. And there's no more light coming in from above. There's no more nothing. It smells very stagnant. You can't see anything in front of you. As far as you're concerned, you're in a black void, but some sixth sense tells you that the cave walls that you used to be able to see are still just out of reach. There's still that dripping sound. It's gotten slightly closer, but there's no real walls for you to feel along to guide yourself unless you want to go around the perimeter of this place. After standing still for a bit, Rabbit just kind of shifts. You hear him, and he asks, ordinarily I'd go on by myself, but I'm worried we're going to lose each other.
So what's the issue here? Is it dark down here?
It's completely black. Neither of you can see anything. You can't see your hand an inch in front of your face. It's the kind of black that your eyes never adjust to. So you create the dancing lights?
Yep.
Great. And are they just going to be like rotating around the two of you?
Sure.
So you get a much more close proximity view. Like an omnidirectional flashlight as these dancing lights rotate. Rabbit looks down at them, sort of nods in approval towards you, and you can see that this room, this large cavern, is sort of this winding tunnel that goes forward and then branches off on this small cliff that all of a sudden descends into this steep slope of sand. But apart from that, you can't see anything else. You also can't see a ceiling above you, which means that the cavern's more than 10 feet high.
So we were crawling earlier, so I guess Maya's going to stand up at this point. Guess it's bigger than I thought.
Yeah, the cave systems down here, they're actually quite interconnected, which lends credence to most of them being small like this, but given that it's a vast network, we're bound to have much larger excursions like this one. That said, I can't say I'm as familiar with this part of the Sylvan district. The Goronja have superstitions about these caves that they drive men mad.
That being said, I wonder how deep Zavwin would have went caves in the first place.
He uses the light of your dancing lights to take some supplies out of his inventory and sort of fashion a torch, and he lights it and then looks to you and says, just in case something happens, I'd like to be prepared. It's much easier to get accommodations ready with those available. And he nods to one of the lights as it rotates around you. Now then,
Yeah, I can keep these up indefinitely.
well, who's to say they are magical, right?
Well, yeah, they're magical.
I try not to rely on magic. The Fire Ray in particular. They like to have an array of things that can, well, he points at one of the lights, kind of pokes at it with his finger, turn these off. Fair warning and all. I did put it in the notes that I wrote. And he holds up the piece of parchment that basically is going to give to you when you cast Sending on Catherine.
Well, that's fine. I don't usually use magic in the first place. I don't usually use light magic in the first place.
I heard you. He's just, I guess he turns around and he starts leading the way. It was his survival check after all. Him and you slide down the sand in a careful way that makes sure nothing is going to landslide or dislodge any large chunks of stone, or disturb too much of the balance down here. And all of a sudden, it feeds off into what is suddenly apparent as the rushing sound of water. A sound that had been completely stifled by a crack in the stone. The sand sort of leads down to a chasm that's too small for you to accidentally fall through. It's a little crack that the sand can get through that you can't, and it looks like it leads to a much larger chamber that the sound of the rushing water is coming from. And he looks at you, Rabbit does, and he says, if we follow the direction this water is going, then we could follow it up here and hopefully this place, and he taps the wall of the cavern that you guys are in, and that place, and he points down, converge in the same chamber, which will hopefully be our body of water.
Well, let's give it a shot.
Then he leads you that way, and he starts moving at a bit of a faster pace. He looks back a couple times to make sure that you're safely in tow, but he gets a good 30-40 feet ahead of you, especially with his own torch. And you're having a relatively easy time following him, but at one point he turns around the corner and you sort of see the light of his torch fade. Not abruptly. He just probably hurriedly made his way over in a direction. And as you move forward and peer around the corner, you don't see where his light went, and you only see 10 feet in front of you.
Interesting. I'm gonna move the lights ahead of me.
So you move them ahead of you, and it looks like there's a couple of different places he could have gone. The chasm that the sand was slipping through, the chasm that you're kind of following, it widens considerably to a point where you think you could probably get down, but you're not sure if it just deposits you out the ceiling of a cavern that you're going to fall through and break your legs at the bottom, or if it's a scalable thing, you're not sure. There's also a little tunnel that's like right above that looks like it curves to the right, and then up above it exits back into what looks like almost a chimney-like cavern that some sunlight is coming through, but very, very faintly, and you only notice that it's sunlight when your dancing light is close to it, because it's so dim.
Okay. Yeah, she's going to say out loud.
You're cutting out a bit. Can you say that again?
Yeah,
She's
so
going to say out loud.
She's going to say out loud. Rabbit, you alright?
Yeah, I'm over here. You hear from the cavern that turns to the right.
Yeah, so she'll head that way.
And then, as you get 4 or 5 steps forward, you hear like a rustling sound down from beneath, where the chasm leads to, and then you hear the same voice go, "Wait, no, don't listen to that." The one in the chasm seems further away.
Alright, are you fucking with me right now?
Roll perception.
Does an 18 passive get it?
An 18 passive tells you that Actually, no. So you said out loud. Are you fucking with me right now?
Yeah.
You don't hear a response. You just hear the sound of some footsteps in the cavern that turns to the right, and then from down in the chasm, you hear, Amalia, you need to get down here.
Alright, so Amalia is going to see. What code name did we agree on for me?
Intelligence check.
It was thunderclap something.
Alright. Hold on. I need to remember as a DM what it was.
Personally, I wrote mine down on my character sheet.
It was... Was it Sunfist Thunderclap? Did you ever use a fire punch?
She did.
Probably Sunfist Thunderclap.
If it wasn't, it is now.
Are you willing to have it be Sunfist Thunderclap?
The one she picked for herself, Sparrow, the one they picked for her was that, so if he says either of them.
Alright. They both say them in time. And then the sound of footsteps stop. And then a couple seconds later, again from the chasm, Amalia, come down the chasm, please. I can't get back up.
Alright, so keeping herself ready from footsteps coming from the right, she is going to flick her hand and send 2 of the orbs down into the chasm.
Alright, are you going to look down there?
Yeah.
So as you move one of the dancing lights down, things stop being very clear. It's like the dancing light is as it looks up in this chasm for the first like 10 feet of descent, and then all of a sudden it is sort of immersed in a cloud, like a foggy sort of noxious cloud. And you hear sort of a muffled, you hear Rabbit go, oh shit.
So wait, I heard him.
Yeah, from down in the chasm. You heard his voice. So you're lighting up a cloud, and it's presumably over the rushing water, and you can't really hear that much besides that. But you do hear from the chasm. You don't hear him from the cavern that turns right.
Okay. So, alright. What I'm going to do then, having heard that, is I'm going to bring the other dancing light back up. Going to combine all 4 of them together.
Okay.
Which turns it into a vaguely humanoid form of medium size.
Alright.
And I'm going to send the humanoid shape down the path, and I'm going to have it stand. And I'm going to have it stand in front of the chasm
in front of the path,
In front of the
turning
path,
right, and
turning
see
right?
what happens.
Okay.
Yep.
You hear, wow, I didn't know you could make them look like somebody. And Rabbit comes around the corner and sort of peeks out at you. Except he is not carrying his torch. Yeah, make sure you don't go down there. Come on. He gestures.
You drop your stick.
It's further up there, just so I don't accidentally take the wrong path. With your 18 in perception, this was the direction of the voice of the initial call out, not the one that said, "Don't follow that." "Don't follow that" came from down below, as did the "oh shit."
Right. So there's basically something down there trying to lure me to fall into the. Do you want to be concerned about the intelligent, shadowy cloud thing trying to make us fall off the path?
He furrows his brow and says, the what?
Oh, there's something down there mimicking your voice.
Yeah, I heard it. It wasn't doing a very good job. He just sort of glances towards the chasm and says, that said, He sort of thumbs at his chin and says, maybe we're better off looking for a different body of water.
Figures the only place we'd find this bed's cursed.
I'm gonna go get the torch. And you want to keep going forward, or you want to take another path?
Let's keep going forward.
Alright, great. And he turns back down the right path, and you no longer see him. You, all of a sudden, down in the chasm, hear a Amalia!
Alright.
Am I a bad person, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Want me to cut to Cecil? While you think about this?
Just going over what I have just now. Okay. Okay, so the ground that we're on just now.
You're walking along a slope that sand is trickling down, with a small cavern that you couldn't fit through to your right, with the sound of rushing water coming from far below through this chasm. There's a sheer wall to your right that you're supporting yourself on against the slope of the sand. The chasm just opened wide enough to where you could slip in, and you're hearing voices from, well, you've seen Centra now down the right path, and either that's not Centra, or down in the chasm is not Centra.
Excellent. So I'm going to roll investigation. What I'm investigating is this entire place is covered with sand. It fell off the sand ledge into the place below. There should be a very clear marking of that.
Marking of
And
what?
if that is not enough, so if he fell off, he would have left a trail on the sand from where he fell.
Not necessarily, because it's sort of constantly sliding down. Like it's like a very gradual sand fall, I guess.
Also, another thing I can investigate is the Sentra that came down the path leaving footprints.
The what?
It's the Sentra that came down the R path leaving footprints.
He was probably a good 40, 50 feet in front of you, so you didn't see.
The dancing lights should be shedding light on where.
Do you want to go like move up a bit and investigate?
Yep.
Yes. There are footprints there. Footprints that come back around the corner. It's possible that they displaced the sand that the footprints that they would have made going across, but it's kind of a hodgepodge of displacement. Roll investigation. So the 16. Fine time to roll low.
Fine.
Fine what? Are you exerting?
Yeah.
All right.
21.
21. The footprints are going both back around the corner and in both directions. Let's see. What else to give you? 21's pretty high. That said, the footsteps only seem to overlap around the corner. Past the corner, they look like they were only coming in one direction.
Right. So, whatever coming from around the corner is only coming from around the corner. They're not.
It is
There isn't.
It is possible that he was traveling higher up or moving along the rock. You're not sure, you didn't see. But, yes. There are only footprints in the sand, which, if he was coming to check on you, that would have been the shortest path to take. It's possible
Well,
he scoped out the little chimney cavern that goes up to the surface.
There should be a set going around, a set coming back, a set going back around.
That is to say, if he had taken the route that he was coming back on to check on you, if he had taken that around the corner in the first place. He could have investigated the chimney and then slid down the stone and then walked that way, and there would have been no footprints. .21's high, so I'm basically telling you that it's not a sure shot.
The real Centra is just outside.
There was no Centra the entire time.
Yeah, this
The
is all.
accident was 10 years ago, Malia. You need to let me go.
It's such a sad meme. I will switch back to Cecil if you want to think about this for a while.
We're gonna do what I should have done earlier and roll Arcana for magical bullshit.
Sure, roll Arcana. You get out your nose. Nothing smells magic here. You're versed enough in illusions that if that center had been an illusion, it would have had to be a pretty advanced one to leave these footsteps. However, you have directly dealt with clones, and even if your intuition is telling you nobody's out there cloning Centra, fucking maybe someone is.
I am.
You also know that Frederick's around somewhere. Speaking of clones, it's kind of unrelated, but like you don't get the feeling he's here, but your mind very briefly blips over his existence.
Oh, great. So
Frederick exists!
then... Alright. So, the light from the dancing lights can pierce through the black smog at the bottom.
It's not a smog, it's more like a yellowish haze. And that doesn't seem magical either.
I wonder if a different kind of light pierced through it. I'm going to pull off the great sword off my back,
Okay.
and I'm going to light that up and shove that down into the darkness.
Is that good or bad? Whenever you guys do something creative that would ordinarily have mundane results, I've decided that I'm gonna roll a 1d100, and if you get a bad roll, then the mundane thing happens. But if you get good, then some extra shit happens. So let's hear it.
High is good.
I'm sorry, Amalia. You get the same result as with the dancing lights. However, it does feel good. No, you can't search 100. It does feel good that you've got the greatsword in your hands again, and you have the slight urge to smash something with it. I'm gonna say it's been probably about 10 seconds since the hacking, coughing noises from down here, and doesn't seem to be any more. If you're gonna make your decision, make it quick.
I suppose I should really do the obvious thing and look around the corner to see if there is actually a light up there. Like he says he's going back to get his torch.
Yep. You wanna do that?
Oh, that being said, why would you leave the torch up there in the first place?
Well, his explanation was, I didn't want to forget where I was going.
Literally just punch him in the chest.
Just punch him through a wine.
That's what I
bag.
was thinking. I'm not gonna lie. Just punch him, see if he's the real one or not.
So... Alright, so Amalia is going to move very quickly, look around the corner to see what that Sentra is doing.
So
And if there is a light,
as you turn the corner, you realize a couple things all at once. You turn the corner and the air that you inhale feels cleaner. As you step out of a similar smog to the one that you were looking down through into the chasm. Or rather, the one that was down into the chasm that you were looking through. There's been some high-level fuckery going on. And it started in a very sneaky way. Roll a Constitution save. There is no Sentra, there is no torch, by the way.
figured.
Nice. So you realize that it's already altering your mind. However, you know that if it knocks you out, you're probably not going to get another chance. So, whatever this ticking time bomb is, make use of the time you have now. Well, I'm going to change the music.
Great.
And you're going to roll
So-
initiative. And do I switch to Fergus? I think I switched to Fergus.
Okay.
So Fergus,
So-
you are perched up on the piece,
Yes.
the chunk of stone that had been blown away.
Uh-huh. I sure have. So, what I'm going to do... let's think for a second.
Actually, wait. Hold
How much rubble is there?
on. There's the rubble got blasted off. You're in the cavity the rubble was blown from.
Okay, my bad. Scratch that. How much rock dust is there? Just spattering everything, I'm assuming.
A medium amount, and it's gonna fade soon.
In that time, Cecil is going to go full coal miner and attempt to use active camo and just douse himself in it
Okay.
and rub it into his clothes and his hair and his face. Go full hero.
Roll survival.
All right. And I got some of my health back. Actually, almost all of it for free, so that's nice. Survival.
So it doesn't manage.
No. Up.
Exert. Go ahead. So
Bruh.
11. Nice. It's hard to get enough to smear on yourself faster than the frankly pretty powerful winds are blowing it all away, given your
Fair.
altitude. You do get
Alright.
some on, particularly around your head, so if you do get shot at, they're aiming for your arm. That said, given your experience with their aim so far, maybe that might not help, and they'll chance a headshot anyways.
Yeah, okay. If that's the case, did we ever... Okay. Now, what is the range on Death in the West's, bullet?
You should
I
be able
know-
to check.
I don't know, how can I check?
It is 60-foot range.
Yeah, it's not 60 feet. But maybe it could make some sort of blood splatter or pink mist cover, right? Here, right?
Yeah, you could just shoot projectiles out.
Well, what I was thinking is throwing a medium-sized stone in the air and then
Oh, and then shooting
it
that.
into rubble, yeah. As it all kind of conjoins and twists in on itself, because the weird semi-necrotic, semi-bio weird stuff.
That would probably just. What's your wisdom? Just flat?
17.
Okay, so probably the best way to evade this guy isn't to give him distractions. It's to climb at an irregular pace, so he has a difficult time guessing your elevation.
Okay, great.
You being
So if that's
in
the-
place for an hour has probably already thrown him off.
So, if that's the case, then what Cecil is going to do is he is going to elongate, he's going to, wrap Death in the West around one of his arms to slightly elongate it rather than the other one,
Okay.
so it's going to be really irregular, to see him go.
Yeah, no, he looks
it's
like
like
a
if-
Resident Evil thing.
Yeah, basically. That's the idea. So
Okay.
he's going to start, spider crawling real quick. What's the...
You can
what's the roll?
roll athletics, and since Death in the West is involved, add your proficiency bonus.
I was just gonna say stealth, but yeah, okay, that's fair, honestly. Proficiency bonus with Death in the West?
So this
Or
is
just
athletics, and then plus. What's your proficiency bonus?
3.
Yeah, so
So
athletics,
it'd
and
be
then add
+2.
3 to the result.
Okay. Oh god.
So that's an 8.
Well, I could that's not gonna cut it. And I have health to spare, so I'm gonna do myself a favor and exert. What the shit?
12.
I guess you can't exert twice, right?
You can't,
That's
no.
not a thing. Okay.
So you get up probably about 10 feet until you realize you have to
Alright.
go back down to your initial position because you took a bad route.
Fair.
Like you realize that your arms are going to give out before you get to the next checkpoint, and so you just move back down.
Sure. Okay. Would it be possible to guillotine a crevice to use as a climbing hold?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. So rerunning back down, taking like maybe a minute and a half break. This probably looks a little bit strange because it's like being in a car chase and then the person just like backs into a driveway and then continues later.
Yeah.
But like, so yeah, Cecil takes a very similar route, if not the exact same one, but jumps to the right where there looks like there would be no like foothold or grabby spot.
And you just
but
attack
then-
the rock.
Yeah, and then
Roll
slice it down
roll
a bit.
damage with all your bonuses. You
Okay.
cannot possibly miss this thing.
This is a surprise attack, right?
Yeah, no, you just max
I
damage.
got it. Alright, sure. That's not too bad.
Plus
Right.
10, so 40, 44, 54. Yeah, you blow. It's not as much of a chunk as the sniper was able to dislodge, but it's more than enough for the attack to then just like hook in and leave it there. So you just climb up the haft of Death in the West, and it's just kind of support yourself in the new space. It's enough that you can kind of like crouch uncomfortably beneath it, but
Sure.
you can't like sleep or anything. And you're probably a good 50-ish feet from your original position on the side that they can't see. However, you hear another, and you sort of hear you feel the rock underneath your hands shake, and you don't see any portion of the corner dislodge. They were just aiming for the broad side of the damn pillar, you guess.
So is this combat? No.
Not quite.
Well, I guess it really can't be because it's not like we're fighting. Really, it's not much of a fight. Okay. So I can then. So wait, does that mean like kicking the guillotine back?
Yeah, no,
Would that be
you
a
just
possibility?
fucking
Okay.
blunt.
Yeah,
It's back.
Okay. Sure. So from here, is there another grabby hold? Or
Yes,
is it...
about 10 feet
Okay.
above you. It looks like there's a ledge that deposits out into a little walkway that goes around the entire pillar.
Great. So, 10 feet is too hard, too bad, too scuffed to do a standing jump.
Yeah,
So-
but it's an easy climb.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Athletics? No. Yes?
Yes, athletics.
Okay. Would I be adding my proficiency bonus into this if I were to use Death in
Yep.
the West, or no? Okay.
I'm assuming
So
you
I
were
will
going to
be-
use Death in the West as the hook.
Yeah,
thing,
that was the idea.
so.
Sure. What the?
Oh, God. So 5.
Okay, so that's a 5. But if I exert myself, and it's an 11.
It's a 60. All right, 12. That's enough. You jump out, slam Death in the West out. It hooks onto the ledge. You pull yourself up the haft, and then one of the pillars that's supporting the roof of this walkway is just blown to pieces. And you see the thing, the shadow creature that was clinging to the other pillar, gliding like a flying squirrel as it slowly comes into full view. You're standing up,
Alright.
and it still looks pretty far away.
Well, let me know when it comes into a range of 60 feet.
That said,
Um,
it is close enough that you see the humanoid standing upon its back. Has 3 red-looking eyes in a triangle pattern.
Oh wait, is that? Wait a second. That's Razorface, isn't it?
Shrug. You've never seen him before.
Yeah, no, out of character though. Alright. I mean, I'm just thinking about Sam Fisher. Alright, well, how far away are we talking?
Probably about 400, 500 feet as it's gliding past. Your best guess, it only has a time for a couple shots before it lands in the canopy.
sounds.
It's all right.
Okay. So wait, it's gonna land?
Yeah, it's gliding right now, so that you're in view.
Oh, okay. So I could rotate around, right?
Yeah, you could run to another side of the pillar.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the plan. So Cecil, while running, however, picks up a medium-sized rock and like just books it. Yeah.
All right, roll acrobatics.
Yeah. Okay. So just partially on all fours, honestly.
All right, describe how you evade this shot that narrowly misses you.
All right. Sweet. So Cecil is running up the other way while this thing is following him, probably honestly going way faster. And Cecil, seeing the fact that like it's gonna take a little bit to line up the shot, and also the fact that it's moving in a horizontal motion, it's gonna have to be really accurate on him specifically. So he stops his run and immediately just leaps back onto a slightly elevated piece of jutting rubble, as like the shot would have hit him had he continued walking forwards. And he just continues from there, elbows out in front of his head to like protect from the rubble, from the heat of the shot is probably still felt on him.
Yeah, it gets like a solid 3 or 4 feet into the surface of the pillar as you skirt around the edge and just swing like out into the open air, grappling to one of the pillars, and then use the forward momentum to spur yourself to the opposite side of the pillar. Each side is like 200 feet in width, so it still takes you a bit, but in like 3 or 4 seconds you've made it to the complete opposite side, and you are now fueled by adrenaline. You need to probably get up the rest of this pillar before that climbing thing gets to the base of it.
Well, maybe, but also, is it going down right now?
It was. I'll draw a little overhead.
All right. I don't honestly okay, I don't want to sound demeaning because this is a super cool scene. I don't particularly care where it's going to like where it is right now. What I am curious about is now this sounds very stupid, but bear with me. Can I theoretically kick a rock off onto it at some point in its journey?
If it gets to the bottom and starts climbing up, which is probably what it's going to be doing next, yes.
All right, but I can't immediately
It's still several hundred feet away, and it's getting further with the trajectory that it launched itself.
Right. Okay. Sweet. Okay. Then if that's the case, then Cecil's just gonna book it up.
All right. Give me 4 athletics checks.
4 athletics checks. Okay.
So you're using Death in the West, so add your proficiency bonus to all of them.
+2. Okay. 12. I got it that time.
Exert any of the rolls you want to. I need 4.
Was that one of the successes or failure ones? Actually, I guess
I'll tell you after you make them all.
Okay.
That's a fucking 0. I've never seen that before.
Okay. Okay.
Are you exerting any of them?
No.
Alright, so
they're all with +2, just saying.
you get off to a little bit of a slow start, but you manage to scurry up quite rapidly, a good 600, 700 feet. It takes you about a half hour. Your arms are just burning and throbbing. Take a level of exhaustion, but you don't suffer any lasting wounds from it. You're just gonna be really tired after this.
I just wrote it down. Also, really quick, I want to say, in all of the advantage rolls, I can just see the shadow of death.
Jesus Christ! 0, 1, 4.
Yeah. That's
7, 9.
Oh boy, that's
You really
Shadow of Death.
got the right side of the coin on most of those.
Yeah.
On all of those,
the first
actually.
one didn't matter.
So you get to you're within 100 feet of the lowest tier of the tiered gardens.
Nice.
Night has fallen, and you what's your perception?
Passive 20 if it counts with smell.
You smell more technology, and it is beneath you and getting closer. You've come out onto like I'll draw it out. This is gonna be purple for Cecil. So this is the whole ass pillar. And this is the lowest tier of the tiered gardens. And this is sort of just a surface, and this square in the middle is something you can't quite get to. Each side of this platform is narrower than the pillar itself. It's sort of a slope down to the rest of the pillar, and so it's only probably about 150-ish feet on each side. And then this portion itself looks like it has a lot more alcoves with which to climb. It's going to be an easier trek, but it's still another 100 feet up. You're like right here.
Okay.
And you feel very faint tremors, like of the rapid claw marks hitting this thing as the shadow creature is climbing it.
I have a question about the maximum load bear of the altitude controller, since Rudolph was able to climb on it.
Okay.
Could I theoretically drop it in place and just have it like decapitate the guy riding this?
That's not really how it works. While it's suspended in the air and the ring is spinning, it can accommodate some amount of weight. That doesn't make it heavier when you drop it. It's still just like
No. What I'm okay. No, I wasn't talking about like using it like Gambit. I was talking about as the salamander is rapidly climbing up. Could I just not drop that in suspension while the rider is like riding on it, and just have it like body him off of the thing?
One more time.
Okay, so say Cecil is on a ledge, and 100 feet below him is the salamander and the rider climbing up perfectly vertically for the sake of argument.
Perfect.
Cecil spins the thing and like whips it down at a space, and then it stops. Right?
As soon as it leaves your hand, it's going to stay where it was.
Okay, great. So Cecil lets it go then at outstretched arm length, high enough that it would be at around the chest area of the rider, right?
Okay.
Would then the rider climbing up vertically, possibly not seeing it, just get bodied off of the salamander because it was suspended, but the salamander kept moving?
Roll insight.
Okay. 13?
That thing has red eyes. It's either supernatural or using magical equipment. It's very likely that the thing itself is magical. There's a decent chance of success, but there's also a chance that you time it wrong and it just sort of like loses its altitude and falls and dinks off of him. He's probably going to be braced against the salamander while it's climbing, as opposed to aiming a shot.
Well, better idea then. I want to say there was that really good bit in the Centra fight where I pin him up against a tree and then just like, and then the scythe took care of business, right?
Yeah.
Could I do something similar by holding the altitude controller under my feet, letting it go, staying in motion, and then like guillotining him while the salamander is going up, but I'm staying still, like adjacent to it?
So you're gonna jump off?
Yeah.
And then land on the altitude control.
Yes, and then as he's going up and I'm going down, scythe out.
Yeah, you can try. So if that's what you're preparing to do, roll initiative.
Okay. Wish me luck. Alright, so he goes first, it seems.
Technically, you get a surprise round, quote unquote.
Oh, wait, do I?
Yeah, you're initiating the combat with your attack.
So this is...
Because he doesn't have a way to initiate combat. He's coming up onto your quote unquote turf.
Okay, question. Does a bad initiative equal a bad next roll? I've never actually understood that.
So if you beat someone in initiative and you get a surprise round, you functionally go twice before they do. This just means you go first with the surprise round, then they go, then you go again.
Okay, that makes sense. So this is probably going to be a whole lot of rolls in quick succession. Hey, everyone here, Kara, Johnny,
Yes.
Stuart, wish me luck.
Luck is only for the people that need it.
All right, so
This is the salamander.
as the salamander is coming up,
Cecil.
Cecil peeks down, right?
Yep.
How far down is it?
So you peek down, you don't smell technology anymore.
Okay, but how far down is this
So-
lamp?
It is probably about 600 feet.
Okay. Question.
So
Is there an inertia bonus to anything?
yes, if you're falling and you hit something, the falling damage that you would take is still taken by you, but it's added to your attack.
Ooh, I like that. All right.
So, just before we start, are we okay with this being the rest of the session? And I'll just drop here.
If you'd like to, yeah.
Yeah, that's it's kind of it. So
No problem. Have fun.
All right. Sweet. Bye.
So technically, if you were to reach, what's it called?
Terminal velocity.
Yeah, if you were to reach terminal velocity and attack something, you instant kill both of you.
That seems awesome. But I won't do that, as cool as it is. I have a question. Can I use my foreboding question really quick? It's not something technical.
I mean, forwarding questions are kind of a group thing, but I'll let
You're
I'll
right.
let you. Sure.
No. You know what? No. It's a group thing. I was just gonna. You don't have to answer it. I was just gonna ask if I was meant to fight this thing. That's fine though. So yeah, so about 600 feet down, right?
It's 600. The pillar is 600 feet down to the canopy, and the canopy itself is probably good 200, 300 feet to the floor of the jungle, and so it's about 1,000 feet down.
Okay, I'm not talking about the downedness. I'm talking about specifically in correlation to Cecil. Where is the salamander and glider?
The salamander. So you don't smell technology anymore, and you don't see a humanoid on the salamander. It's about
That's not good.
probably 50 feet and closing fast.
50 feet closing fast, huh?
Yeah. So the time to do it would be
No. Okay, sweet. So, yeah, plan is a go. Cecil leaps off, approximately like 5 feet behind the salamander. Altitude controller like placed under one of his feet with one hand on it so it doesn't immediately stop.
Yep.
Extends Death in the West. There's no fight music. No, that's fine. Doesn't matter. Oh, this is yeah. Extends Death in the West, and as he lets go of the what do you call
Do
it?
you want different music? I'll put on different music.
No, this is good. It's just like no, this is good. I just forgot where it picked up. Drops the altitude. What do you call it?
Altitude controller.
Altitude controller there, and probably takes some fall damage just because the drop and
So
the
you get
inertia.
to decide how far you want to fall. Functionally, fall damage is the first 10 feet is none, and then it's 1d6 per 5 feet.
Oh, really?
So you have the opportunity to use all 50 feet, which would be what? 4 divided by 8d6 damage to both you and the salamander.
Is 8d6 enough to insta kill me?
8d6
In total,
8d6 average is it's like 27, I think.
All right.
However, this is kind of an assassin thing because you're gonna auto crit on this if you hit it. It's 16d6 to the salamander.
Great. Yeah, and wait, you allowed me to tuck and roll with uncanny dodge before, right? But I guess that's harder to do when it's
You're
up
going to be
full
landing
point.
on a gyroscope.
Yeah, okay, fair. Alright. Let's go.
Roll attack with advantage and acrobatics.
I'll roll acrobatics first, because that's what I'm more scared about. 21. That probably gets it, right?
We'll see. Roll attack. And now roll damage. With
Oh, so... everything. What? Oh, wait. Should I roll until I get a crit?
yeah. Are you minusing 5 from the 26 to get the plus 10 flat? There it is.
There we go. Would you allow me to exert myself then?
Yeah, you can exert yourself on the roll as well.
Alright, take 8 really quick.
So that's big number. That's 29 on the attack. Roll damage, and then roll an additional 16d8.
So that's what?
63, 72,
And-
82. Just roll 16d8.
Yep.
Alright, so 72 plus 79 is 151. So you leap off of the edge, and you've got the altitude controller in your hand. Death in the West is like across your shoulders as you're descending, and you just like swing it down and then use your elbow to trigger it to close,
Yeah.
like as it's tearing through the back of this salamander. Describe how you kill it.
A complete vertical swing. So like this this would be the kind of manga panel where the main character is in the foreground and the line of action is showing the salamander split almost completely in half. As Cecil hangs on to this like perched over kind of like doggedly, pun intended,
I don't need this map anymore.
on the salamander.
Okay.
Speaking of which, how much damage do I take?
You take 8d6. So 37.
Oh, good. That's just enough that I don't die. I'm -2 currently.
So you're -2 health. This is functionally, what was it? Mild
exhaustion?
mild something, and then the other. So you're taking 2 levels of exhaustion.
I guess.
I'll describe what the injury is. But
Hurt
anyways,
leg.
so you completely bisect this thing vertically. As you do, its rider wasn't visible from above because it was hanging from one of its forearms as it was climbing. As you bisect it down the middle, the rider leaps off, throws a contraption it takes off of its belt into midair, which immediately expands into a red triangular energy portal. And as he's vanishing through it, he aims his gun at you and takes a shot.
I guess there's no reaction to be had.
You see it coming, so you can have the damage, which...
I had a really cool thing in mind, but yeah.
You can have the cool thing in mind if he misses.
Cool.
And
He
remember,
might...
remember that you can
Yeah.
exert to lower the result of an enemy attack roll.
That's true.
That said, do you have any health left?
I don't.
Then you can't do that.
But enemy friends have more reroll than me.
That's true, they do. Anyways, so just to finish describing this, he leaps off. He is jumping into a portal of his own make, and as he's vanishing through it, he's taking aim at you with you see it's basically just a sniper rifle, except it's
Yep.
sort of growing out of his back, and he's only using it with one arm.
Cool.
You're catching yourself on the altitude controller. You basically you let go of it with your hand, and you just crunch down into as much of a crouch as you can. But it's such an uneven space, and with the wind and your balance, it's just you realize that you have to move your momentum back downwards. So you backflip off, just to disperse the momentum, and you lunge your hand up to the altitude controller, blindly grasping for purchase. It grabs on, but the weight of the drop is going to dislocate your right arm.
Yikes.
So this is giving you disadvantage on further attack rolls. That's
Fair.
all the injury you need.
Sure. Okay.
And he's
now
shooting the rifle. Anybody want to use their reroll?
We have
to
3
mitigate
rerolls left. We have 3 chances that I don't die. But everyone is dead silent. Hey, Kara.
Yeah, I saw y'all typing.
Oh.
Wow, Kuro's he's really holding fast to his.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh!
All right.
Are you giving yours, Karo? Shawnee, do you still have yours? Shawnee?
Let's see.
I mean, it's 6:47. This is probably the last scene.
You right.
Oh, Jishaw's voice isn't coming through.
Yara, just so you know, you're on my list now.
All right. Shawnee's giving you yours, giving you hers.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Does a 16 hit?
No.
Nice. What cool thing do you do?
As he's pointing the gun.
Hear me now?
Yes, we can. Death in the West slinks down around his Cecil's foot as he kicks up and shoots a coagulant bolt into the barrel.
Nice. So you just see this splatter of blood as the barrel is kind of like a good portion of it is just blown off, and now it looks like a broken bottle, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And metal just starts to regurgitate out of this guy's back and reform it as it just like this guttural
Yikes.
noise comes from within. With this it's nasty, and you don't have a clear look at what's going on because it's nighttime.
Yeah.
But you do.
Well, I've got
hear
night
him-
vision.
No, yeah, that's true. But this is also happening really quickly.
Okay. Yeah. Fair.
And you just hear him go, impressive. As he vanishes into the portal, you see a flash of light out of the corner of your eye.
My head.
And you smell the technology all of a sudden coming from above, as you're now hanging from the altitude controller a good 10 feet away from the surface of the pillar, and this guy emerges from another triangular portal that was where you just jumped from. He calls down, "You are at my mercy. You know this, yes?"
Currently, yes. My arm.
The gun collapses back into his arm, and he says, "I have questions. If you'll ask them, then you will leave this pillar alive."
I have one question.
Very well, I'll humor you.
How many portals do you have left?
He chuckles. Left?
Ah, damn. Right. Well,
Where is Amalia Bonanza?
good question. I don't suppose you could throw down a map.
You see him look out into the distance, and he points in the direction vaguely of Dirt Scritch's home. That is where you came from. Did you come here with her?
We did converge there, honestly. However, we've kind of split up, genuinely. We're still in the Sylvan District, of course. However, I'm a little bit curious how you intend to kill her. Considering, well, kill her, I don't know, but I mean, considering everything going on with us, I'd only assume. She's quite a bit, more sturdy than I am, I'd wager.
You're insinuating I'll have trouble.
Yes.
You hear him chuckle again. It is not so.
Okay. Well, I don't suppose the leftmost or rightmost corner of the Sylvan district will get me any leeway. But I'm relatively new here. Do you have, like I said, do you have a map?
He sort of looks off in another direction and simply responds, "You're here to save your captured friend, right?"
Yes.
Very well. So Discord, so whatever Discord you may in the Fire Ray family.
I plan to.
And he takes something off of his belt and tosses it down into the air. It sort of drifts past you.
It lands. I kind of like the idea that it literally just hits him in the face. But
Sure,
that-
it just like rebounds off your forehead, and then when it's right below you, it expands into a triangular portal.
right.
And he opens the other one, but this one opens green, and he steps through, and then that one closes. So now you just have a triangular suspended portal beneath you.
All right. Well, if this is a portal to the bottom, I'm quitting. Cecil drops down into it.
All right, so you fall, and you're all of a sudden, you feel vibrant and electric as these pulses of energy just surge from your ankles up to your shoulders, up to your head. Just to give you an idea of how much of an asshole this guy is, remove all your levels of exhaustion.
All right.
And it deposits you on top of the pillar where you had jumped.
Oh,
There is
that's not.
There's still the bottommost layer of the tiered gardens right above you, about 100 feet. However, now that you don't have the threat of salamander on your tail, you notice a corkscrew staircase going up the final section of the pillar itself.
Nice. Well,
And that is where we will leave off.
excellent. Honestly, I kind of like this guy. I mean, he's a douchebag, but like. So is Frederick.
Razor stays on a mission.
I have a question, just fully mechanical wise.
What's up?
If
You fucking one-shotted that salamander by 1 damage, by the way.
that's good.
Actually, before I end the recording, is high good or bad?
Oh, I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. I'm gonna kill you. High is great. Damn right it is.
Congratulations, Cecil. The half of the salamander on the left condenses into a pitch black materia, and
Cool.
it's just sort of like slowly gravitates towards you.
Nice. Cecil stops in.
So you just have a horrible black materia now. It has some very faint, glistening points of light in it, almost as if you're holding the infinite abyss of the night sky.
Love it.
And